In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser and Joe just hiccuped.
Hello.
Hello. I was just thinking, thank you so much for doing these podcasts with me. It's really cool.
Well, I mean, what else would I be doing at 10:15 on a Tuesday evening, having not had any dinner yet?
Cheers.
Cheers.
This week we are drinking aviation gin and tonic with blueberries because we have no lemons and blueberries are kind of American and this is American gin.
And why have we got aviation gin, Vicky?
We've got aviation gin, Joe, because I actually love Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds owns aviation gin.
So you're a sucker for marketing?
Yes, of course I am. It's what I do. So aviation gin. I follow Ryan Reynolds on Twitter, and if you like to have a giggle, you absolutely should follow Ryan Reynolds on Twitter too, because he is freaking hilarious.
So, for the benefit of everybody who's not you, who the hell is Ryan Reynolds?
He's delicious and hilarious. He's Deadpool.
Right.
And, other films.
He is an actor.
He's an actor. Yeah, and he and his wife are basically the funniest couple in the universe. They are so funny. Anyway, Ryan Reynolds owns Aviation Gin, which is American gin, and it tastes like a sunrise had sex with a feather duster. You can't see Joe's face right now because we're not recording this
feather
podcast.
Dusters.
Okay, so
Surely they taste horrible. Surely they taste of like cobwebs and woodlice.
They do. You need to go onto the Aviation Gin website and watch the video to understand that. Because their marketing is great, and Ryan Reynolds is wonderful and hilarious and handsome. So I think Ryan Reynolds looks a bit like you.
Yeah, you're not getting out of it that easily.
Oh no, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying.
Okay. Right. Anyway, it's very nice gin.
It is very nice gin.
What are we talking about?
So we are talking about self-limiting beliefs and how, if you really truly believe that Ryan Reynolds isn't going to, leave his wife and ask you to marry him, then it's probably never going to happen.
There's a quote by Henry Ford.
Yes.
And he said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're probably right.
You butchered it a little bit, but that's more or less what it is, yes.
Oh, right, okay. What is it actually?
I think he didn't say probably. I think he said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Who the hell knows? He probably didn't write it down. People probably made it up. Anyway, he is right.
He is right.
Because with the caveat, because, some people are hard of thinking, if you believe that you can fly and you jump off a tall building, you're probably going to die.
Okay.
Unless you're wearing a wingsuit or a parachute, and even then it's a bit iffy.
I'm never going to win gold in the Olympics on like the parallel bars or some gymnastic thingamajig. It's not going to happen. I'm 42.
We'll come back to that in a moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you are right. I'm never going to win, a rhythmic gymnastics competition because, frankly, I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves anyway.
Okay.
So I just wanted to ask people, really, and this is obviously, it's not a rhetorical question, but I can't hear people speaking back to me, and also
unless you
that's
email
in the future.
Unless you email us.
Yeah, email us. Tell me, how do you talk to yourself? What stories do you tell yourself about who you are and what you are capable of? Because we self-sabotage ourselves all the time, often without even knowing it. And so, example from every day, something that I hear far too often at pole classes at the studio and in trapeze classes is, like, people will be watching a move demonstrated. The teacher will demonstrate a move.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a turn to, they demonstrate the move, they explain it, they go through it bit by bit, they break it down, and then we, go and do the move on the pole. But what I will often hear is someone will kind of smile when it's their turn and they'll be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. Or, this is going to be awful, I'm going to do this really badly, but I'm going to go, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me really sad to hear that. And it also makes me want to bite things in a kind of way.
Right.
Because
Grinds your gears. Grates your carrot.
it does, but not in like, I don't get mad at people when I hear that. It just makes me frustrated for them. And it's just sad, because if that's how you start something, especially, I mean, this is very specific to kind of pole and, you know, trapeze and anything physical, but if you start something with the view, I'm not going to be able to do this, you probably aren't going to be able to do it, or it's going to take you a lot longer. Because that belief is a limiting belief, you know. So that's a very quick example. Do you hear people talking like that at work, or, you know, in jiu-jitsu?
Not jiu-jitsu, because everybody's busy trying to strangle each other.
So no talking.
It's mostly kind of gurgling and panic rather than talking. I do at work. I hear people saying, well, this is going to be really complicated and it's never going to work, or this is impossible, or I can't possibly do that in a couple of days, or you know,
get themselves into a flat.
This plan is bullshit. I need 6 people, not 2. And, you know, sometimes they've got a valid point and they need more resource or more time or a better plan. But quite often it's just people, just having a bit of a flap.
Yeah. And, you know, another really obvious as well, you just made me think of something. Another really obvious one as well is like when people say, oh, I'm not a leader, or I'm not a runner, or I'm not a writer. And that's the thing that stops them from doing it. So I'll come back to those in a minute, because I wanted to get onto some stuff that's a little bit more relevant to business owners, which is the people who are listening. I wanted to talk a little bit about...
Hi, business owners.
Hi, business owners. I wanted to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs and what they actually are, because I think maybe people, you know, might be thinking, well, you know, is this a limiting belief? Is it not? So limiting beliefs are formed in childhood, and they affect absolutely everything. Every decision you make, it's like the core of who we are is set in childhood, and it's really difficult to break that. Like super difficult. And so they kind of lurk around when you're not getting where you want to be and you're not getting the results that you want. And anything that you say to yourself to justify why something isn't working out for you is basically a limiting belief. And once you believe something, and this I find really interesting, and especially coming on the back of having read the Heretics book.
Hell of a book. Read that.
Hell of a book. Whether it's once you believe something, whether it's a political belief or a belief about yourself, your brain will filter out any evidence that disagrees with that belief. It's incredible, and it really explains how people can believe crazy things in the face of all the evidence. So how people can deny evolution, and how people can believe the Earth is flat, and, you know, how people can believe that Donald Trump isn't an orange toddler, and, you know, all of that kind of thing.
Hi, Donald Trump.
Topical, because is he still here?
No, he's gone back.
He's fucked off. Okay, cool. So somebody who believes they're stupid, for example, this is like a real life example. Somebody who believes that they are stupid will, if they do well in an exam, might say it's luck. Oh, it's a one-off.
Yeah.
Or somebody might declare a business success to be, it's total random chance, total fluke. And they will ignore like the 9 exams that they did really well on and just focus on that one exam that, you know, they did badly on or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so the good exams will be luck, and the bad exams will be because they're stupid.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And, you know, I got this move by a fluke. And when I used to teach pole, whenever somebody got a move they've been struggling with, I would make them do it at least twice more straight away, because I would be like, it's not a fluke. It's, you have learned to do this move. You might not always be able to do it, because, you know, some days you're stronger, some days you're, you know, feeling, you know, whatever. But it is not a fluke. It is your hard work, and, you know, it's really important to kind of recognise that. So yeah, it's really interesting that our beliefs are so ingrained.
So people bend their perception of reality to suit their internal model of what's right, or what who they are, or all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and this is patently obvious to me all the time, because I have my own limiting beliefs. I've had half a glass of gin.
Being the words.
I was drinking my gin while I was prepping this podcast, and I seem to have burbled a little bit. But yeah, I mean, everybody has limiting beliefs, right? Everybody does. And, you know, one of yours is, I can't sit with my legs straight out in front of me because I'm not flexible enough. And it's like, well, unless you actually do some work on the flexibility thing, you are never going to be able to sit with your legs straight out in front of you. This is a bone of contention between us, by the way, if you can pick up the tension zinging between
Vicky
our
wants
heads.
me to do like stretch classes and yoga and stuff.
Yeah.
And the problem I have with yoga and stretch classes and stuff is they always kind of go, okay, so start in this position and see how far you can go. And I can't get to that position where you start.
And as I've just explained to Joe, our classes are not like that. And Annie, I know Annie listens to the podcast. Hi, Annie.
Be nice to me when I come to a stretch class.
We love you, Annie. I need you to persuade Joe to come to a stretch class because he needs to be able to, lift his arms above his shoulders to get unstrangled sometimes. Anyway, so limiting beliefs, I can't even start from that position, therefore I'm not ever going to be able to get flexible. And it's anyway. So limiting beliefs around money are another thing that massively hold people back. There is such a massive misunderstanding about money and wealth among most people, and it holds everybody back. We are really screwed up about it. And, especially if you come from working class backgrounds, I think, not everybody, but, working in middle class backgrounds, especially, because wealthy people have a different attitude to wealth and they pass that on to their children. And that's why, there's a lot of inequality in the world, and there genuinely is a lot of inequality in the world, and there's a lot of things that need fixing. But the children of wealthy people grow up with healthier attitudes to money and wealth than the children of people who have struggled, by and large.
And that's justifiable. It's understandable. You can see why. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
This isn't like a blame thrower. This isn't, we're not at all. It's not a criticism. It's just how things turn out.
Not at all. There is a really good book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that is basically, it's a proper book written by a grown-up about this stuff. This is stuff that I've learned over the last few years. And a few of the limiting beliefs about money that I think are really important that people understand that are not true is, a really common one is, for me to have more, someone else must have less and do without. That is not true unless you are physically stealing from people, and if you are, stop that. That's not true. There is more than enough to go around. There really is. We could feed the entire world if we sorted out the
spread it out a bit more nicely.
Spread it out a bit more nicely. I'm not talking about socialism even. I'm talking about the economies of farming and scale and food production. And if, frankly, and this is going to get me some hate mail, if more people were vegetarian and vegan, there would be more than enough food to go around because, anyway, that's a different discussion. But that's another one, just because you are doing well does not mean that somebody else has to go without.
Yes.
That's massively important. And the second one that is massively important is that people who are really wealthy, people who make a lot of money, are somehow different from the rest of us. They are not. Some of them started with a bigger advantage, for sure. You can look at people like Donald Trump, who inherited a large fortune and, probably would have been better off if he'd done nothing with it. But, people like Richard Branson, he wasn't poor growing up, but he certainly didn't come from a rich background.
Yeah, he's got more now than he did he's got more than his dad did.
Yeah. And deep down, Richard Branson is no different from any of the rest of us. It's just that he has used his time and his abilities, and he's shaped his world differently to how most people have. And not everybody is going to aspire to be the next Richard Branson, and that's fine. My point is that, people who are successful in whatever field and however you measure success are not different from you in any fundamental way.
Just people who got on with it.
They are just people who got on with it. And so that's super important. It's money is, and I'm focusing on money a little bit because we do have screwed up beliefs, especially if you're a good person. Especially if you're a generous person, you're a kind person, it's really difficult to think of money as being something that actually is okay to have.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So it took me, we were talking about this not so long ago. Do you remember we were talking about Land Rovers and stuff? And I was like, I couldn't possibly spend like 60 grand on a new Land Rover. Leaving aside the fact that at the moment we're building a house and, I don't have 60 grand to spend on a Land Rover. But that wasn't the point. The point was, I couldn't, that's disgusting.
You believed you couldn't.
I believed I couldn't, and I believed I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if I've got the money and
that's what you want.
And that's what I want. It doesn't mean that, and people think, I could be spending that 60 grand on charity. It's like, well, yeah, if that's what you want to do that. Or you can make more money and have some of it for yourself and do good things with the other bits. Because that's my plan eventually, to not spend 60 grand on a Land Rover necessarily. I actually would just like a 10 grand kind of battered Land Rover.
Functional battered.
Yeah. Which is my next plan after we've done the stairs.
Okay.
So anyway, limiting beliefs about money. We went on a bit of a I don't know, money safari. Then.
Yeah,
I think
some people don't. Some people feel they shouldn't make much money. Some people expect not to make much money. Some people are more comfortable not making much money.
Yeah, I am not the kind of person who can ever make more than 50 grand a year.
Yeah, that's obscene. That's outrageous. Couldn't possibly.
And I understand it.
That's what wealthy people do, and I'm just here, crafting me toilet roll holders or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, and that belief is, again, we're not chucking the blame thrower around, but you never will make more money than that if that's your belief. You just won't. Because, and this has got nothing to do with the law of attraction or any of that kind of thing, because the bit of the law of attraction that most people forget is that, you have to actually do the thing to make it happen. It's not to do with, believe it and it will happen. It's to do with, if you don't believe it, you're not going to do the things that you need to do to make it happen. Yeah. And that's really, really important.
You'll get to this point where you're like, well, I'm making 30 grand making my toilet roll holders.
That's my limit.
I'm doing great. This is brilliant. I'm going to just keep doing this.
Yeah. And, if that's where you're happy, that's fine. But if you've got this because the other thing that we're not saying in this podcast is everybody must aspire to earn £1 billion. That's not it.
The target is not money. It's just using money as a way of keeping score and a way to talk about it is easy. It might be, kids taught to be mechanics is your way of keeping score. Or it might be, God knows.
If I can only, but even that.
Acres of woodland planted or anything. It could be all sorts of stuff that you use to keep score and stick your happiness, worth, your success of your business on.
Yeah. I think my point is that with this is that if you're feeling frustrated about your lack of results, that's, if you're content with what you have, then that's fine. That's one thing. It's like, that's brilliant. But if what you've got is, say an income of 50 grand a year, and what you really want is more than that to do the things that you want to do, but you're telling yourself that you're a person who can't earn more than 50 grand a year, then you're never going to do it because you won't do what you need to do to change your situation.
Yeah. And
so, action doesn't happen without the change of mindset and the change of belief that has to come first. Action is equally important, because loads of people are like, action's the most important thing. Equally important is the belief that, that underpins it. Does that make sense? So, okay. So how do we identify limiting beliefs? Good question, Vicky.
Good question, Vicky. I don't know. How do we identify?
I have, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to share my 4-step process for undoing limiting beliefs. But first you have to identify them. So you just need to examine everything that you're thinking and feeling, like, really closely. So, and this is a cognitive behavioural therapy and neurolinguistic programming technique that's really useful for people. So, if you're getting therapy for, depression or whatever, they will teach you these techniques. And it's like, rather than kind of glossing over what you're feeling or thinking at the time, you examine it. And so, if you're feeling overwhelmed with work, and you're not making enough money, and this is very common to business owners, you're not making enough money and you're feeling anxious and angry and frustrated. It's like, okay, so let's stop and have a look at those things. Let's unpack them a little bit. Why are you angry? Because if you look at that, you'll find the limiting belief is right underneath it. So for anxiety, that might be standing up inside your head and screaming at you, what will they think of me? They're gonna look down on me on my crappy financial state, and I'm not earning enough, and all of that kind of stuff that we do feel. And it's really embarrassing. And your anger, if you're angry about it, your anger might say to you, life isn't fair to people like me. Why are other people special when I am totally screwed? Or your frustration might say, I'm just not clever or strong enough to fix this. And all of those 3 things, those are limiting beliefs. And they're the things that are going to stop you from doing the things you need to do. Because if you believe that you don't have enough money because life isn't fair and it's somehow somebody else's fault, you have just taken every single ounce of control and power away from yourself and put it in the hands of somebody else. We talk about this quite a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
But I don't apologise for it because it's really important. And with the other, what will people think of you? Most of the time, they're not thinking of you at all.
Yes,
it's the truth.
I think it's amazing how little other people think of anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you know this to be true by thinking, how much time do you spend judging other people negatively? Very little, if you're honest. So. And the whole I'm not clever enough or strong enough to fix this is, again, you're screwed before you start. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, then you've got no chance. I'm too old is another common claim that just makes me want to chew things into pieces as well. I'm too old to do this. I hear people say this all the time. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for this. Bullshit, are you too old?
Yeah.
No way. It's like, if you're just going to give up and, Anyway, so. But yeah, another one. Oh, it's just the way he is. He'll never change. Well, no, he won't if you don't, if he doesn't want to, if he doesn't believe he can. Boys will be boys. That's another thing that really irritates me. It's like, no, that behaviour is totally unacceptable. It's not okay. Girls don't do well at maths and science is a genuine limiting belief that holds women back in these areas. And they have done studies on this. And there are really interesting psychological studies on that very thing, actually, and how, how girls don't do as well because they're told that girls don't do maths and science.
Oh, that's got to be changing by now, surely.
It is changing slowly, but I mean, look at the number of women studying maths and science at uni and go. I mean, you run an you run an engineering company. How many women work there?
I was thinking about this the other day. Actually, we have women in support roles. We have women doing accounts, and we have women doing HR, and we have women doing office management.
And that enrages me.
And we have men doing engineering.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
And
men in management. And
it drives me up the wall. I know it's not because you guys have particularly sexist hiring practices, although there will certainly be bias built in there, unconscious bias. But it's because I bet you just get hardly any candidates, do you?
In all of the recruiting I've done, I have had one female applicant who I knew who she was because she worked for a competitor, and they sacked her because she wasn't very good at what she was doing.
So you didn't want to employ her?
So I didn't really want to pick her up.
Yeah.
And that was the only person ever that applied that was a woman.
And that just really, really sucks. And you can that kind of limiting belief is what is holding everyone back from doing anything. And obviously I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, and I focus very strongly on women in business and that kind of thing.
I'd love to have some female applicants. It'd be nice to have a change of
smell,
attitude, and engineer smell, and maybe some different viewpoints would be great.
Yeah. And you would get, and that's the thing, it's like you would get different problem solving.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a totally different. But yeah, I mean, you can look at this in your personal life as well. I can't do this move because I'm not flexible enough. Men only want young, slim women. Mm-hmm. Not true. Women only want men with money. Also not true. My marketing isn't working because I'm not a marketer. I can't write a book because I'm not a writer. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, all of those things are not true. So, okay. So I wanted to finish with, because I'm aware that we're running a little bit over time, my 4-step process to undoing your limiting beliefs and moving past them.
Right. 4 steps.
This is going to be good. You have to actually do it, though.
Okay.
So, step 1. Understand and acknowledge that these are beliefs and not truths.
Okay.
They are beliefs that you hold about yourself. They are not true.
Ooh.
I know.
Do you think people who have strong beliefs can split a belief away from the truth?
With practice, yeah.
Oosh.
It takes anything else.
Takes anything else?
I've had too much gin.
Too much gin. The
I'm
words.
very tired. The words. Like anything else, it takes practice.
Okay.
Is what that sentence was supposed to be.
This is just a belief.
It's just a belief. It's not a fact. Okay. So the second thing, step 2, try a different belief instead. So instead of, I am really crap at this thing.
Couldn't possibly write a book. Think, okay, well, I've tried to write a book before, or maybe you haven't even, more likely haven't even tried. That's a bad example, Joe. Oh, God.
So maybe I have made a mistake in the past, but I'm going to learn from it. I'm not going to do that again. It's totally different from, I have made a mistake in the past and I am a horrible person because of it. Because, we are not our fuck-ups.
Or, I have made a mistake in the past, I am never trying that again.
Yes. Maybe.
Well, I'm never going down that avenue.
Yeah, I'm going to do it differently this time. Maybe... So one for me that I'm really working hard on is when I'm wearing glasses, I am ugly. Mm-hmm. Now, a logical part of my brain knows that that's not true. Mm-hmm. But the rest of my brain equally knows that it's very true. And it's like, well, other people tell me that I'm not, and I've got no reason to believe, I've got no reason to disbelieve them. They're not going to lie to me, all the rest of it. And so, I just work hard. It's like, I don't like my glasses. is a different belief from I look ugly in my glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like my glasses is actually true. But I look ugly in my glasses is... It's not true, is it?
It's not true.
Is it not?
You're lovely.
Oh. So... Oh, I'm going to cry now. So that was step 2. Try something different, emphasize a different belief. Step number 3, do something different. So instead of doing the action that, I've run out of steps.
Yeah.
I haven't run out of steps. This is right. Okay, so this is really good. I should have put them in separate bullet points.
Yeah, you've got a paragraph of stuff with 4 things in it.
I know.
Nightmare.
Step 1.
Copywriting fail.
Gin fail. Step 1. Understand and acknowledge that these are beliefs and not truths.
Okay.
Step 2. Try a different belief on for size.
Okay.
Embrace
so
that instead.
Just make a new one up.
Make a new one up.
Just make a new one. Go
Make
for
a
that.
positive one up and just keep embracing it until you believe it. Number 3. Do something different instead of the actions that you always take. So I'm not even going to try this stretching exercise because I know that I'm not a flexible person, therefore I will not be able to do it. Just make a start. I know that I can't write a book because I am not a writer. Okay, well let's start with the idea, the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with an outline. Do something different instead of not doing it, which is a choice, by the way. It's like you can do A, B, or C. You can also choose to do nothing, which people forget when they're selling stuff. It's like, people choose to buy something else. They can also choose to do nothing at all. So do something different. And step 4, act as if your new belief is true.
Okay.
And so my little thing for that is like, I am strong enough to learn this trick. And then to act as if it was true would be, I'm going to do the things that I need to do.
So next week, you're going out in your glasses.
I do occasionally go out in my glasses. I went out at lunchtime today and bought myself a cheese and onion pasty in my glasses.
Excellent.
I now have new glasses as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got them today. So yeah, I am strong enough to learn this trick. I am clever enough to take this test. I can learn to market my business more effectively. I can write a book.
Mm-hmm.
I am no different deep down from Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, and Ellen DeGeneres. I can be a success if I choose to act and believe in a way that is congruent with it.
And this is not woo. This is not all about, not doing actions. This isn't about just having some faith. This is about
believing it so you can do it.
Believing it, which allows you to move forward in the right direction.
Exactly. So my takeaway for this week, and just to kind of distill this whole thing down, is if you're having, if you've got a limiting belief that is holding you back from doing something that you want to do or that you believe you should be doing or whatever, think to yourself instead, what would a successful or beautiful or talented or whatever person do in your place? What would a flexible person do? What would a strong person do? What would a writer do?
Mm-hmm.
And then do that thing. Do that instead. Behave it and become it, basically. And yeah, okay, you're never going to be able to fly off the top of a building without a wingsuit or a parachute. And you and I are never going to become gymnastics Olympic gold medalists. But that doesn't mean that we can't achieve, it doesn't mean that we can't jump off a building in a wingsuit and not die. It doesn't mean that we can't learn some really cool gymnastics tricks, even at the age of 53.
42.
42. So yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Build it and they will come.
Build it and then do it and they will come.
Build it and then do it and they will come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Any questions about self-limiting beliefs, dear ears? Or any stories to tell me? Anything you want to get off your chest? Send me an email, vicky@vickyfraser.com, and tell me all about it. I want to hear what limiting beliefs you have overcome. I want to hear if you've got any questions. I also want to hear if you disagree with me, because even though you will clearly be wrong, I am always ready to listen to the point of view. That's not true. I didn't mean that at all. If you disagree with me and you can argue in a reasoned manner, then get in touch and tell us.
If you can't argue in a reasoned manner.
If you're just going to hurl abuse at me, then don't bother, because I will mock you and
hurl abuse to me. That's fine.
So next week, and this is kind of related, I guess, we're going to be talking about how to find your confidence.
Cool.
It's down the back of the sofa with Jesus. Anyway, what have I got to sell this week?
Oh, join Bookaholics Anonymous. It's free.
Where do they go to?
they go to vickyfraser.com/book club,
Yep.
sign up. You can join the superheroes crew. That's very easily done. You'll actually get stuff.
Email me, because that link does not work.
Oh, Vicky's systems, the link doesn't work. So email Vicky at vickyfraser.com.
You know what? No, frankly, no. I am not taking any new applicants via the podcast because I just need to sort my page out. If you like this podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe to it because it helps us climb the rankings.
Yeah, leave us a review. Recommend us to people who might like it.
Yeah, and if you're going to leave us a review, that's awesome, and we love that. If you're not going to leave us a review, please don't tell us that you're going to leave us a review and then not do it, because that makes me sad.
Oh.
It's like, if you have no intention of reviewing us, I respect that, but don't tell me you're going to do it and then not do it, because then I get sad.
You sad?
Yeah. Or share it. Send. If you know somebody who will enjoy our gin-soaked rambling nonsense. Oh,
did that one.
VickyFraser.com podcast.
Okay, I didn't give the link.
VickyFraser.com/podcast.
Excellent.
Next week also we can talk about my epiphany or my mental breakdown that I had yesterday.
Okay.
Because I think that's important. Thanks, Joe.
No worries.
Thanks, listeners. We'll be back same time next week.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.